everybody, Jim from Jim's Coleus. Okay, we're in the throes of fall. Cooler temps here in New Jersey now. Of course, depends on where you live. If you're in the southern zone and you don't get frost, I envy you. Or maybe not. I would be exhausted if I had to care for Coleus 24/7, 365. I would be, forget it, because it takes a lot when it's just one person. But anyway, here we are in New Jersey, and each year I have to decide what I'm going to do, which plant. Okay, so as you approach fall and you're in a frost zone like New Jersey where you can't keep your plants out, did you know that Coleus are technically perennials? But they're not traditional perennials like tulips or mums or hostas that go back down into the ground and then come back in the spring. They reseed themselves in nature, so they're technically listed as perennials, but they do so they regenerate themselves by dropping seeds, whether they just drop on the ground or if they're picked up by a bird or insect and transferred, and they end up, because I end up finding Coleus growing all over my property. I'm like, I didn't plant that there. Yeah, I even had one coming out at the foundation of my house one year. I was like, whoa. So they'll grow on paper towels. All right, so I digress. All right, so at this point you have a couple of options to do it, and it all depends on you. I've gone into the point where I keep less and less overwintered pots than rootings. I prefer to use the rootings. I sort of take a break, and I don't want to put a negative connotation on it, but it's a lot. When I start my Coleus seeds in February, it's a lot for me because I grow 500. It's me. You know, years ago I had my son helping me, but now he's moved on and getting ready to go back to Italy as a chef. Next May he's going back to Italy. Got a job offer in Italy for about 8 months. But I digress. I don't have my cameraman. I don't have my assistant, so it's just me, and it's a lot. So I take a break with the physical care of overwintered plants, so I don't keep as many as I used to. I do keep a few that just they become dear to me. I didn't sell them. They're beautiful. So I have my audience back there. Lots of chipmunks and everything. So all right, I'm getting off the beaten track as always. Anyway, I keep a few overwintered Coleus. I'm going to show you those now. This year I think I'm just going to keep 3. One is a little larger, but I'm going to keep 3. But the majority of what I choose to do is keep water rootings, like in my Lord Voldemort, and I just keep rootings all spring and all fall, through the fall and winter and into spring, and then I just transplant them in the late spring. So, but there's a few things you want to do if you're going to keep overwintered Coleus. There's a few things that I want to go over that you to consider and do before you bring in a pot as an overwintered Coleus. So let's get to it. Okay, so these 3 are my candidates that I'm going to bring in. These are I'm going to overwinter, bring them in. This one actually has been inside for a little while. I brought it outside because the past few days have been pretty warm. This is a beautiful, beautiful Coleus. We're going to keep this, and this here. This is a beautiful, beautiful Wizard Rose. So I'm going to keep this inside. I did a little trimming yesterday. Got a seed stalk. I got to remove that. So before you bring in your overwintered Coleus, you want to double check, get all of the debris out of the soil. Make sure there's no debris. Check your soil, check your leaves, check underneath. If you see any leaves with holes in it, that means you may have like a caterpillar or an insect. Check it, make sure you don't have any insects before you bring your Coleus indoors. Very important, because you don't want bugs inside. So check it. I don't see anything here. Now there's many products that you can buy. I have this one I picked up at the store. Normally I buy a Safer brand, Safer insect spray soap. This is an all-natural soap spray. It has they're like potassium salts. Some of them have seaweed extract. Basically what this does is it's you would want to spray. It's a little windy today, but you want to spray just before you bring your Coleus in. Just give the soil in particular a quick shot with your insect spray soap. And there's also homemade products you can make. You can look them up if you want, but this is not, even though it says insecticidal, it's not a harsh, it's not like Liquid 7 or any of those harsh insecticides. But you don't want to spray these indoors either. But anyway, spray your soil down, physically check, make sure you have no insects before you bring your Coleus indoors. So again, what this does is how it kills a lot of the like mites, any kind of the bugs that you may find on Coleus. It has that the salt or whatever eats away at the shell of the bug, and it kills them that way. So but I have no insects on these plants. They look pretty good. So I gave these a little spritz the other day. Go easy, don't give them a lot. Even though this is pretty gentle stuff, it still could be a little harsh. So I'll give it a little shot, and then I'll bring these in. And of course, my other option, which I do more so because it's I find it easier to care for, is just take rootings. I have this beautiful flamingo. I have a number of them I threw in together in a large vase. This is actually a milk container, and I meant to separate these, and I still can because the roots haven't really tangled, intertwined, so I can separate these, and I'm going to, because I generally don't want to keep 3 or 4 together like that, because then the roots are going to entangle and you have to plant it as one, which it'll still grow in the spring. But as you can see here, this is actually from this plant, because I was expecting to sell this and I didn't. I was very surprised, but that's the way it goes. And then I kept it out in the front of my house because I kind of loved it. I really liked it, and I was like, you know what, I'll keep it. So that's another reason why I didn't sell it, because after a while I didn't bring it to the market. But anyway, you can see these are really my favorites. I love these colors. And the Lord Voldemort again, can't get seeds, so I have about 6 to 8 cuttings, and this one's already well rooted, or on its way rather, and we'll keep these. So I prefer to keep Coleus as wet rootings, cuttings, rootings, and again, you can keep your rootings going for months and months on end. I keep them, and these I cut these about 3 weeks ago, so these will be fine. It's doing very well. Same as this. Now this I wasn't sure how it was going to do, because they're tender. They're generally more tender, but it seems to be doing pretty well, which I'm excited for, because I'm going to plant that next year and we'll make a whole new pot. Here you go. There's a little sign of insects, so I'm going to pop that out. I'm going to look underneath, make sure there's no little, sometimes you get those little green worms, and the insect spray soap will get those. So just check underneath. I absolutely have some insects going on here, so I'm going to look underneath, and they're pretty crafty little critters, so you want to check underneath. Just check your plant really well, and use the insect spray soap. Just use it sparingly. He looks like he got himself a good meal on this one. So again, we're going to look, make sure it's not there. This is I could tell this is like a little green worm, a little green caterpillar. I've had that happen. And after you bring, it's possible, and I've had it happen, where you bring your plant in and all of a sudden you look and you know your plant and you're like, all of a sudden you're like, oh wow, look at that, there's a little critter in there eating. So I've done that, and I actually located the little worm or little fella that's eaten, if the spray soap doesn't get to them. But most of the time the spray soap will eliminate any kind of insect problems. But just make sure you clear, again, getting back, make sure you clear your soil. And I did put some Job's food sticks in. I don't go crazy with fertilizer on overwintered Coleus, because they're going into a hibernation. So you don't want to promote growth, because it's going to hibernate, because as the winter progresses, there's going to be less light, it's going to grow slower, it's going to get less vibrant, and you're going to lose some leaves. You're going to see some leaves drop. So that doesn't mean that it's dying. It's the stress of going from outdoors to indoors, which is why it's best, if you're going to use if you're going to overwinter your Coleus, that you want to find the brightest window, south facing preferably, the brightest window you can, and keep your Coleus there. And if you can supplement it with with LED grow lights, do so. I don't. I have a pretty good south-facing bay window, but you can see this one I already brought this one in, and I did lose quite a few leaves, but you got growth coming in, so it's still a very healthy plant. And this one here, again, I just trimmed some of, got a seed stalk coming in. I'm going to pick that. But this one here especially, I'm going to really be careful and check for any insects before we bring it in. And again, this is one of my favorites. I do this every year. I always keep a wizard rose in this little blue bud vase. If you're a regular follower here, you're probably familiar with this. And I always keep these. And eventually, most of the time, these will make it through the whole spring, fall, the whole fall and winter into spring. But what you can expect, again, I'm going back, is as the winter progresses, the days get shorter, the sun's less intense. These are going to start to get less rich. They're going to thin out. You may lose a few. It's not going to grow as quickly. They're going to get more washed out. Not quite as vibrant, and not just natural, because they need that. It's sort of their little calling that it's time to hibernate, it's time to go. Besides the seed stalks, and yes, your rootings may develop seed stalks, unless you want to harvest your seeds. I recommend that as you see seed stalks develop, the little pods, just snip them. Keep them snipped, because they're going to downgrade your Coleus. Now, last year I had that Saturn rings that I hand pollinated, because I had a bunch of rootings and I had an overwintered pot that were starting to get seeds, and I didn't have any Saturn seeds, so I hand pollinated the stalks and I got a whole bunch of seeds. And since then I transplanted, I harvested the seeds to that original overwintered Saturn rings, and I took the original overwintered plant and I put it out here last spring and grew this monster Saturn rings. And I have so many seeds available, and you can get seeds from me. Just go to my Jim's Coleus eBay listing and get some Coleus seeds. I have Saturn's rings, the Saturn variations, which is really beautiful. This is, don't let it, it's kind of washed out, folks, because it's overrun with seeds, and it really takes a lot away from the Coleus. But beautiful, beautiful. I have tons. This thing's seeded like mad. I have so many seeds. So I'll have Saturn variation seeds, the Wizard fireworks, mosaics, Christmas candies. I'll have these mega empires, jitters. I have a couple of different jitters variations, a surprise mix. So head over to Jim's Coleus on eBay, get your seeds. I'll have continually relist. If you see the listing say low or whatever, I will relist. But I will have plenty of Coleus seeds, fresh Coleus seeds, seeds from the plants that are featured on my Jim's Coleus videos here. So again, head over to Jim's Coleus on eBay, buy some Coleus seeds. If you don't, if you can't plant them now, if you're in a winter zone like New Jersey, Coleus seeds will last for years. I keep mine in a cool, dark closet until it's time to plant them. So head over to Jim's Coleus, get your Coleus seeds, and you'll really enjoy these, especially these beautiful Saturn variations. And just a quick looky, here are some Saturn seeds that I have drying out. It takes a lot of it's a lot of work. My mega Kongs, I have the colossal jitters, I call them. There's some plain jitters, Christmas candies. I already separated a bunch of Coleus seeds as it is, and these are the extras. They're in my as I pick them, I keep them in my greenhouse to dry out completely. Then I have to separate them, which takes a lot of work. So Jim's Coleus on eBay, get your Coleus seeds, and again, you'll have a beautiful, wonderful variety. I have some crimson golds, Darth Vaders. I'm going to have very limited amount of Darth Vaders. Scarlets. I have some, again, limited amount of Defiance. The Defiance and Darth Vaders have been very, very late to seed and very slow, because now we're starting to get colder weather, so it's harder for the plant to develop, and there's less pollinators going on. But in general, as we get closer to the cooler weather, the plant is not growing quite as fast, so I'm getting less seed stalks. But head over to Jim's Coleus on eBay, get your Coleus seeds. I promise you'll really, really be happy with the amount of Coleus seeds you get and the variety. And as just an example, here's the Defiance plant that I have. Again, I have some seed stalks coming in, but they're very small, and I have been feeding it. But again, it's a big plant, but it's seeded very late, so I'm going to try to get as many as I can. And they're very difficult. Some of the seeds, I want to make sure that the seeds are mature. Immature Coleus seeds will be way too small. They'll be round, but they'll be small, so I don't sell them. Obviously, it's not fair if you're going to get seeds that are not viable. So we'll see if we can get some Defiance Coleus seeds. Here is some other rootings that I keep. These little port windows these are actually west facing, so they get a lot of late in the day sun, but they're bright, and my rootings do real well here. Keep them here again straight through till next spring. Just keep your rootings at a nice bright location. Check the water, replace the water as the rootings use it. Make sure there's no debris in there. You can rinse them out every once in a while. Just make sure that they have fresh water. Hi everybody, so hope this helps out. Your options: you can overwinter your Coleus, that's fine, or keep rootings, or do a little of both. Just again, if you have one of those 4 seasons rooms or sun rooms, Even if they're on the cool side in the winter, your Coleus will do fine as long as they have bright light. They just love bright light. They'll do fine, same with your rooting. So any questions, you know where I am. Jim's Coleus of Coleus here. Again, head over to Jim's Coleus, get some Coleus seeds, get them ready for spring. I'll have plenty through the months, but get them now while I have them. And you'll have them too, and we'll get ready for next year. Thanks for watching, everybody. Jim's Coleus of Coleus. Take care, everyone.